Hello and welcome back to the Rarpack. Last time we fought the Ender Dragon and we found a source of manganese in the form of tungstate ore out in the end. Since then, I've taken a couple more trips back in there, got a little bit more resources here, as you can see, and I also jumped into getting our thermal centrifuge. In order to do that, I needed to use endstone in the industrial centrifuge and use that to make helium cells. And as you can see, I have lots of helium-3, which is the other byproduct of endstone dust. All the helium cells were used to make the two laser drills, or the mining lasers. That went into building the thermal centrifuge, and I've actually already used the thermal centrifuge on a ton of purified bauxite ore, turned it into centrifuge bauxite ore, and got me some extra titanium out of it. And I was preparing to turn this centrifuge bauxite ore into regular bauxite or bauxite dust in a macerator, but then I realized that you can use this in a regular macerator to get bauxite ore, or you can use it in a universal macerator to have a 10% chance of getting titanium dust every time you macerate one of these centrifuge bauxite ore. So I have all the pieces that we need now to go ahead and build that. I already had the macerator built. I built another diamond grinder, and then I used a lot of bauxite ore to get all of the titanium that we need. So all we really need to do is set this up like that, and boom, we now have a universal macerator, which is a little bit more efficient and gives us some extra resources. So we're going to pop that up here, and then we should be able to throw, let's take about half of these guys in here. We should be able to throw these in here, and it's not really faster, but it does give us a better chance of getting a byproduct. Now, the whole point of this, and the most efficient way to get everything that you can out of your ores, is to throw everything in the industrial grinder first. The industrial grinder gives you two different byproducts for most ore. That gives you purified ore, which can go into the thermal centrifuge and give you another extra. Then that centrifuge chunk can go into here, and the industrial macerator can turn it into dust. And then this actual dust, some dust, like the bauxite dust for example, can go into the industrial electrolyzer, and that can give you what looks like titanium, aluminum, hydrogen, and oxygen. So there's plenty of options that we have here. And it looks like I'm going to need to find a way to automate this, because otherwise it will just sit here and do the same thing over and over again. But we'll figure out a way to do that, and the biggest way to do that, I would say, would be to find out where we want to place all of these machines and make our ME network set up. Now, originally, I was going to have all of the machines inside this tower, but this tower is here for power, not for all of these processing, refining, and fabricating issues. So in here is going to be where we have, as you can see, like I have some carpet up here, which looks very nice. This is going to be our lobby, and up this next level here is going to be all of our offices. This is going to be where I have some major controls and stuff like that. The very, very top level is going to be kind of like a penthouse where I'm going to sit since I'm kind of like the administrator and the builder of the world. But we're going to go ahead and keep running carpet through here because I kind of actually like the green and orange. I mean, I'm not an interior decorator, so I could be dead wrong, but I think it looks kind of cool with the green and the orange mixed in here. But I do like the wooden floor with the carpet look better than all orange all the time. I think that gives it a little bit more color, a little bit more not as in-your-face bright orange all the time. So we're going to go up to this level here, which is going to be offices, and then this next level here that's working right now is going to be where we have our ME controller and our main terminals and stuff. And then the level above this is going to be where we have our ME drives. Now I'm going to make the ME drive setup just absolutely enormous, probably way bigger than anyone will ever need, but I'm going to build it with several different levels of storage drives in here so that we have plenty of room for everything. And then, once we have all that stuff done, we can set everything up. to have the ME network kind of control our power setup and our refining setup and using all of our materials and fabricating them into what we need. The other thing that I'd like to do is come out here because, excuse me, I'm still a little sick. Well, not sick necessarily, but still a bit of a cough. This far edge over here, if you remember, is where we kind of started our big octagon that's going to wrap the whole way around here and kind of be our city. Well, this direction heads towards the center of the city. And in the original plan, what I was going to have was, let me see if I can show this. We're going to have, like, say this is the big hub that I have right here. Okay? This big hub is going to have a bit of a walkway that goes this direction. And then we're going to have another hub right here. Okay? And then from this hub, we're going to have an area that marches out this direction and shows up over here as kind of like where we're going to do our processing. Initially, this was going to be like one area for tools. This area over here was going to be for weapons and armor, and then this area up here is going to be the lobby. What I'm going to do now is have one of these two areas on the sides be refining. They're going to be about as big as this tower is, but they're going to be there specifically for taking all of our raw resources, turning them into what they need to be, and turning them into more like refined resources that we can actually use in different kind of fabrication machines. And then on this side, we're going to have the same look, but that area is going to be for fabricating things like weapons, tools, actual machines, necessary blocks, like in the event of getting everything automated for building a fusion reactor. It'll be where we build all of our highly advanced machine blocks, where we build all of our advanced machine casings, where we build our fusion coils, all of that stuff. So that's what we want to do, and that's going to be heading out this direction. The other thing that I decided to change, I need to put a door in here. I know this is the last one that I'm still doing this whole dirt crap with, but I'll get to it, don't worry. The other thing that I decided to change was this over here. Now on this side, the land comes up quite a bit, so having everything all the way up to this level 74 that we're on wasn't too difficult. It didn't require a whole lot of resources. And we're going to be heading out from here, a diagonal off in this direction to fill everything up. But there's a lot of land over here that's not very low, so it won't be difficult to get up. On this side, however, we go straight towards basically sea level, because that's where all of this water is sitting. So what I decided to do, instead of continuing to make it really high and have a very large wall, is to have a slightly smaller wall that runs over here, but still gets us a little bit closer to the sea level. And then from here, we're going to be moving the same direction. We'll be going out this way, and I believe that this direction will be 90 blocks in a diagonal direction here. But then this inside piece here, I've decided to drop down about 4 or 5 blocks over here, as you can see. So this area here will still be large, but it's going to be a little bit lower, and that's so that I don't have to fill in quite as much dirt, and so that we're a little bit closer to sea level, so that if we're moving back down so that we can make a nice even approach with the land somewhere else, it's not going to be a huge mess, as it were. So we got that changed around a little bit. We have a friendly neighborhood cow hanging out, I guess, defending this side of the map. But yeah, you also notice that I don't know if I had this in last episode or not, but I have a stairwell over here to kind of make it a little bit easier to get up and down instead of using ladders and everything, since if it's an office building, you're not going to be having ladders. You'll be having elevators, or at the very least, you'll be having stairs. And so I don't have elevator blocks because open blocks isn't installed. Staircases seem like the next best bet. So that's what we're working on right now. And now that we actually have the universal macerator set up, we're actually in good shape to begin making some more advanced resources. Now, I believe we can tell this to automatically export stuff. I'm not sure, because in all the older versions that I've played of Rarpack and Industrial Craft, they did not have the ability of automatic output. But it appears that this is set up the right way. So we can actually have this just go to town now, Centrifuge for macerating all of these things. And then whether or not we get titanium isn't necessarily that important, because there's a chance of it. And in the meantime, we'll be getting all of the bauxite ore here, and I believe it's 39 bauxite ore that we need in order to make another titanium. To get the titanium dust out of that, you get 16 aluminum, 10 hydrogen cells, and 6 compressed air cells. Now, in order to do that, we also need a lot of empty cells, which is a bit of a pain. But then these hydrogen cells we can use to make deuterium. And deuterium is the other very necessary thing that we need in order to make a fusion reactor, and more importantly, to actually make the fusion reaction. This helium-3 is one of the things we need, the deuterium is the other. Those two come together and will create helium plasma and leftover energy, which is basically due to the destruction of neutrons and protons when two collide. So, while we do have a big setup here going, what we don't have is all of the necessary resources to actually build it. And I have a lot of resources in here, but even despite all the resources that we have in here, these are minuscule, minute chunk of what we actually need in order to build everything. The other thing that we need that I thought was pretty cool that we were able to get, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I have the dragon egg. And the dragon egg can be used to make a couple of very weird things that we don't necessarily need. But what it can also be used for is the dragon egg energy siphon. Now, since we don't have Thaumcraft installed, we don't have to worry about nasty flux coming out of anywhere to cause us issue. But what we do need is an absolute butt-ton of resources here. So we need highly advanced machine blocks, which takes a lot of chrome and titanium. We need 4 energy flow circuits here. We'll need 4 more energy flow circuits here. We need 4 Laptronic energy orbs, which needs 2 more iridium reinforced plates, and then we also need iridium reinforced plates out here, and then a teleporter on top of everything else. So, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff. But the cool thing about the Dragon Egg Energy Siphon is if you take a look, it outputs 1,024 EU per tick, compared to the 30 EU per tick that we're running off of right now from the couple of geothermal generators that we have down here. The other thing is that we're running out of energy, because we're running out of lava. Now, we're running out of lava because, for one reason or another, it is just taking up way too much. We are constantly producing it out of, I think we decided this is like close to 20 or so crucibles, but it's unfortunately just not enough. We're making a lot in here, but it is using it up very, very quickly. So this is no longer an impressive enough means of producing power. There are lots of different things that we can do to produce more power, but presently speaking, we have to just sit here and kind of wait for the MFEs to finish filling up. Now, it is improving right now. It is filling up even though we're running the macerator. The macerator runs at 32 tick, but we're only producing 30 EU. But luckily, the MFE itself will actually continue to bolt out power even faster than that 32 EU to make sure that this is fun. Now, it looks like we haven't got any bauxite yet, which is kind of no titanium yet, which is kind of a bummer, but we do at least have it running, which is a good thing. I don't think it does. So even though there's a 10% chance we haven't gotten any titanium dust yet, but at the very least, we do have it set up, and it might be used later. But yeah, power is going to be our next big issue. And my solution to power in most other games that I've played has always been solar power, because it doesn't require a fuel source, all it requires is the sun. And now that we have all this stuff set up, I think it's actually possible for us to go ahead and build it. So, solar panels aren't made the same way anymore. And if this starts lagging, I may be calling this episode a little bit short because it's been doing this to me recently. What we need to do is actually make solar panels like this, and then you combine it in an assembly machine with a basic machine. Now, this is actually fairly cheap. If we have a way of automating electronic circuits, since they're kind of a pain to make, not necessarily expensive, and a way to automate silicon plates, which we have plenty of means of getting silicon, and we already have a ton of carbon plates, we can make a whole bunch of solar panels. Now, they only produce 1 EU per tick, but we have advanced, hybrid, and ultimate solar panels that all produce a lot more. Now, the advanced solar panels require one of the regular solar panels, irradiant glass panes, and an irradiant reinforced plate. Now, the irradiant reinforced plate requires sunranium parts and reinforced iridium iron plates. This requires an iridium plate, and this requires 1 iridium ingot. So they're not super expensive, but they do still require iridium, which is very, very rare. The irradiant glass panes require reinforced glass, irradiant uranium, and glowstone. Irradiant uranium just requires uranium-238 and some glowstone dust, which is fairly easy to make. We need advanced circuits and advanced alloys. The problem with it comes from the sunranium parts. The only way to get that is with a molecular transformer. You used to be able to make it with UU dust or UU matter, but you can't do that anymore, so you need the molecular transformer. So the molecular transformer is going to be the next thing that we try to build. I know it takes quite a bit of energy to actually make the things that it's making. Like this, for example, requires 1,000,000 EU to change just the glowstone dust to a sunranium part, but it uses energy to make items. One of the items that it can make is by taking these iridium ingots here. Let me find it, or at least it should be. Maybe it's not. There is a way to take iron and use that to make the uranium or the iridium that you need. Unfortunately, oh, never mind. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So you can use iron ingots to make iridium ore. Now this requires 9,000,000 EU, but that's still not a whole lot considering the fact that GregTech changes how much the mass fabricator uses to make 1 UU dust up to 16 million. And considering that you need 7 of them in order to make an iridium ore, this is a much more efficient means of doing it. And this can transform all kinds of stuff, most of which isn't very expensive, but it can get you a lot of the items that you would need. So like here, for example, we can actually get sunranium, which is another important thing that we require. So the molecular transformer is going to be what we try to make, and that requires 4 advanced machine blocks, fairly easy to make, 2 advanced circuits, fairly easy to make, EV transformers, which aren't necessarily cheap because it requires things like Lapitron crystals, but it's still not impossible to make. We have most of the resources, just a matter of actually going through and building everything. The other thing that it needs is this MT working core, and that requires these thick neutron reflectors. And the thick neutron reflectors require neutron reflectors, and I can't find the recipe for neutron reflectors in here. So we're going to have to find another way to build them, or we're going to have to find out the way to build them, and we're going to have to get our hands on some beryllium cells. But it is possible to do this, and this will be the next task that I have. So, considering the fact that I'm starting to lag out here slowly but surely, I'm going to see if I can find a way to make the computer run a little bit more smoothly. And then next time, hopefully, I'll be able to spend some time showing you some of these things that we need to make. And yeah, with my frame rate going down to about 1 frame a second, I think I'm going to call it here. But thanks for watching the short clip here to show you what we've got going on, and we're on our way to basically endless titanium and chrome, which will bring us into the highly advanced age of GregTech. Bye.